Hello there, Canuck Rob here. It's been a little while, but we're gonna jump right into this new dev diary video. Although we're currently in the overworld, most of this video is actually going to be focused on changes that have been made to the dimensions, as well as talking a little bit more about what is coming up. So everything you're about to see in this video is currently available in the New in Town Dimensions pre-release that is available on Planet Minecraft. But of course, I did just want to talk about the things that have changed that, of course, I haven't made videos for since I've been so busy, which I will talk about more at the end of this video and in greater detail in a later video. Let's go ahead and jump into the in-between. Well, actually, honestly, we're not even going to do that. We're just going to go ahead and go with commands to the dimension we want to go to. I think we'll start in the buried ocean. So we'll do, let's see, 50. Okay, and that should put us in the water. Yep, there we go. So we are in the buried ocean now so that we can take a look at what has changed, or what's been added, I should say, to the fleet, to seafarers. So it's a little bit dark here. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the brightness up. Oh, it's at its brightest. No problem. So let's go ahead and get our fleet started. Here we go. And we're going to go and take a look at the new recipes that are in here. Or recipe. I think there might only be one. So, as I alluded to in the original... Oh, there might be a couple. I don't remember if I did the Quartermaster's Galleon. We'll take a look at it. I think we're good, actually. Yes, so one thing that I alluded to in the Seafarers specific dev diary video was the fishing barge. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that now. So this is what the recipe looks like. You'll need some iron bars, not too big a deal. Good amount of string, but honestly, it's fine. It's a not terribly expensive structure. So we'll go ahead and grant, let's see, only. Let's see, recipes. Recipe fish barge, and we're going to ignore the pirates here. So fishing barge is a cool looking structure, I like to think. We've got an interesting design here on the sails. It's supposed to kind of look like a net, like a fishing net going into the water a bit. We've got these cages down here, kind of look like shark cages or things like that, or things to grab fish out of the water. For example, then we've got the spare ones up here, barrels and stuff for them. So, meant to be, this is a fishing barge. If we go down into the hull, we'll be able to talk to the dinghy craftsman right here, and he's actually going to sell us fishing dinghies. I know it looks like a spyglass, but I promise this is a fishing dinghy. So, we're going to go ahead, back to our captain ship, grab a prepared ship hull. And we'll come on over here. Talk to our dinghy craftsman. We'll need some string as well. 64 string. And, oh, there we go. Get ourselves a fishing dinghy, and we're going to make a copy of it too. So the fishing dinghy, if we use it in water, then we'll start being able to collect biome-specific resources for the buried ocean. So this is like the regional outpost for normal New in Town for kingdoms, but in the buried ocean. But since there's not really an easy way to have your ships travel very, very far to get to new biomes, you actually just take this fishing dinghy out to where you want to start collecting resources. So, for example, right here, if we use it, we end up with this boat. It is a little bit dark, which is interesting. There we go. And yeah, we've got this little dinghy. We've got our regional fishermen who will sell us regional specific items to the deep dark sea biome that we're currently in. And of course, this barrel will collect daily resources. So if we set the time to 5900 just before noon, obviously we've got command feedback turned off. There we go. So it's going to give you 12 items from a rather large list actually, of items that are possible for the buried ocean. So they have different weights, unlike the regional outposts in New in Town, but there's a larger amount of possible items. So this happens to be a very varied grouping, but you could have, for example, a lot of sand and blackstone and maybe one or two ores. just as well. So yeah, that's the fishing dinghies. And like I said, what's really great about them is you can kind of take them wherever you want to be. So if we go to another biome, it'll start collecting resources there as well, as long as the dinghy is loaded. So let's fly out over here and see how far we have to go to hit something different. Of course, if you try to use it while you're not in water, nothing's going to happen. You do have to use it in water. Now, theoretically, if you go to like a land biome, which theoretically will be coming up soon. Here's a pristine sea. We'll go ahead and use it here and see what resources we get from this biome. And actually, if you use it while you're underwater, it's not going to do anything there either. You do need to be at the surface of the water, like that. A little bit disorienting, but kind of hides the appearance of the dinghy from you. So regional fisherman, he's going to give you some sand and prismarine and sea lanterns. It is going to be the same list of items that the daily drop comes from, so it could be very varied. This one happens to have 2 different kinds of sand, really terrible exchange rates, but regardless. So this one has a little bit of a smaller list, but we did get a pretty decent variety still. Let's see if we can head over. A mystic shelf will have some cool ones. If we come over here. Whoa. Oh my gosh, with the shader, that actually looks really cool. So we'll go ahead and do that. And, ooh, some really good materials from the mystic shelf. Very nice. That is a little crazy. If we come over to the mystic roughs as well, should be fairly similar. But of course, in the mystic roughs, you do need to find a little alcove of sorts. So this is considered mystic roughs. A nice little pond or lake in order to get a decent one. So this one's a little more reasonable, I think. Still got some end rods there, tropical fish, but some very good exchange rate on emeralds there. So that's just extremely lucky. So that's really all we have to talk about here in the buried ocean for seafarers. We have a similar structure to show off in the Primordial Desert, so we will go ahead and head there now. So let's do execute. Come on, in Primordial Desert, TP, and we'll do this. Ooh, come on. Here we go. So back in the Primordial Desert, similar to Buried Ocean, we're not going over any changes to world generation because there's nothing really for this dimension in that regard. But if we start our excavation, we'll hop down here. There we go. And let's go ahead and grab our excavation shaft recipes. So we do have 2 new structures for here. We've got the Cave Sapper first of all, which is the regional outpost variant for the Primordial Desert. So it needs a little bit of resources, some rooted dirt as well as dripstone blocks. So you will need to find a way to gather those materials. But once you do, we can go ahead and build a Cave Sapper. So advancement grant at S only, knit X, recipes, Cave Sapper. The Cave Sapper, I think, looks kind of cool. Oh, there's some lava up there. That's neat. That is unusual, actually. I don't think that's actually something that I do myself. Cool. It just happens to be some random lava up there, I guess. Or I wonder if it's lava because that's the base liquid for this dimension. So it's just an ambient particle effect. Anyway, you've got these cauldrons and hoppers up here that are all collecting, quote unquote, collecting materials from the cave or the roof that's up here, which is all stylized with the dirt and dripstone, going through all these pipes made with lightning rods and copper blocks and stuff down into the chest, which is your daily collection chest. The cave researcher obviously is going to have your regional equipment. The special thing with the resources for the Cave Sapper is that the items, they might not be weighted, I'm not sure. They may or may not be weighted, but more importantly, they do vary based on your height in the dimension. So if the Cave Sapper is in the upper half of the dimension, it's going to include it's going to give you some underground materials for sure, but it's also going to give you more materials related to the upper areas, whereas if you build your cave sapper lower after building some vertical shafts with lifts and stuff, then you will get some different resources. The cave researcher can have resources for trade from the top or bottom of the world, but the daily resources will only be from the, whether you're at the top or the bottom. So if we set it 5900, wait for our daily resources here, it's going to be mostly surface-like stuff. So we've got cacti, we've got sand and leather and pork chops from the, the hoglins up there. But let's go ahead and build a vertical shaft here. We'll build several. Is it lift? Yeah. So we'll build a lift going down. Oh wait, I didn't go down. Oops. Wow. Well, that's fine. Going down. And here we're getting to deep slate level. We'll go one further, I think. Oop. So now we're at the deep slate level. If we go ahead and do the cave sapper again, we are still in the same biome. We are in the standard desert. He's got a variety of resources, not very good ones, but that's not abnormal for these types of villagers. But if we set the time to 5900 again and wait for our daily resource drop, it's going to be more underground based stuff. So we've got some soul sand, which speaks to the fossils and quicksand fossils that lead down into caves, and you've got a little bit of gold and amethyst. So this happened to be a particularly unvaluable resource drop, but of course it's going to vary by biome and vary by day. And then the other item that we have, the other recipe that we have, if we take a look at our recipe book, we have a portal platform. So one of the things that changed recently with Dimensions is the way that I search for new portals, the way that Dimensions checks for existing portals when you've already established a link. So instead of searching in a nearby area, it actually searches in a nearby column, which allows for an underground portal such as this. So like the portal in the overworld and in Seafarers, it is expensive. But if we go ahead and build it here, recipe portal. So of course we are underground right now, very underground. If we travel to the in-between via this portal, we'll end up, up in the sky as you would expect. But if we come back through, instead of being, obviously we get that. Instead of being up top and getting a new portal, we just end up at this same portal that is already established down here in our mine. So this can allow you to have easier access to and from your mine and the in-between. You still, of course, have to travel to your portal to get to the overworld, so it's just a matter of deciding whether you want most of your interdimensional travel to be in the dimension that you are living in, or in the in-between, which is safer, but obviously a little more difficult to traverse terrain-wise. So really, really neat stuff. This should also help prevent or at least greatly reduce the amount of situations when you are traveling to the in-between, usually is when it happened. Prevent a new portal basically from spawning over and on top of the portal that was already there. So it should more reliably, if not completely reliably, only establish a link, or only take you to the existing portal, the link for which has already been established. So that is a structure that now exists thanks to a change to the portal system. And that's all we have now for excavators, and therefore for the Primordial Desert. Why am I in survival? Therefore for the Primordial Desert, but we do have some stuff to go take a look at in the Tempest now. So if we go to the Tempest, dim Tempest, we'll do 120 again. And of course we come in here and it is raining. We are in the lightning fields right now, where I believe the craters have been able to reappear and occur more often. Yep, so this Actually, that's a normal cave. Man, I was having craters show up more. Where'd they go? Regardless, we have some new naturally generating structures. So the steampunk tower is still not implemented. That's going to be after I finish most of the naturally generating structures for the Tempest. But if we explore the lightning fields here, we've got one structure that I can for sure show you. That is some loud lightning. You know, I think my system sound is a little high, if we're being honest. There we go. Okay, so this is the Illager Railway. This one happens to be a particularly straight one, which is kind of funny. It's always going to generate a locomotive, and then from there it will have rails that can have other cars as well. There's not a whole lot of loot at the moment. There will be a little bit, but this is a fairly common structure, so it actually won't have very valuable loot, but still worth traveling to. It's a pillager outpost, and I think it looks really, really cool. So there's a couple of cool things going on. The locomotive will always have a cart full of coal traveling behind it. You can come in here. We've got kind of a control-like situation going on. Chests are empty right now. Whew, it's loud. If we press this button, it will actually toggle the lights. Nope, that's not true. The lever will toggle the lights. We'll just take a look at it in a second. If you press this button, it will ring that bell. So kind of meant to be like a functioning train. And of course, since it's a pillager outpost, it will make the nearby illagers glow. The shaders, for whatever reason, the shader that I have doesn't make them glow. But regardless, like I said, lever turns the light on the front on. And I just think it looks really, really cool. You got wheels down here with, of course, your, like, I don't know what they're called, but they look like functional wheels, like a functional locomotive. Got a couple other different kinds of cars. This is a passenger car that then connects to, to another coal car. If we come back here, we got another coal, just a whole bunch of coal, apparently. Several ores can appear. Gold, iron, and copper can also be some of the train cars. And there's a few other cars that I'll show you, as well as a couple other rails. They're fairly common. They generate kind of all over the lightning fields. Lightning fields is the only dimension they appear in right now. I think it's getting dark. Let's go ahead and set time to 1000. Yep. So let's keep going through the lightning fields and find another locomotive, along with the abandoned villages that can spawn here. So they will generate about twice as often as abandoned villages, as I recall. See, we're getting really big craters here, but I want some smaller ones, so I still have to adjust that and make it closer to how I originally envisioned it, and how it was, I think, prior to 1.17. Oh, there's a slimy reservoir. That's fun. But let's come back over this way and see if we can find another of these structures. You can use locate. I don't know if that one is going to be the closest one, but they are pillager outposts, so you can find them a little more easily with locate. Okay, see, that's the one we already found. I believe we came from this direction, so let's go this way. Oh, look at that. There was one right over here. So we've got another locomotive. Like I said, that'll basically always be the case. The rail, some of the rails can be terrain matching, so they'll be a little bit disfigured and disjointed. They'll cause all kinds of crazy problems with turning rails. Not necessarily problems, but it'll look very messy and dilapidated, which I think is really cool. This, I believe, is a prison. Yep. So this is a prison. What's it? Prison car. The levers are activated by default and keep the iron doors closed. And they've got some zombie piglins as well as normal piglins trapped in here. Chests currently contain nothing. And then if we come up here, got another car full of coal. And if we come over here, across this turning rail, this is a railway station. Oh, and here's a bunch of gold. Look at that. So you can get carts full of gold. Think about it. Interesting. Anyway, so you can get carts full of gold as well as carts full of copper and iron. They will have a couple of blocks of the raw materials. And then we've got the railway station that can have cars in it as well as just locomotives and etc. This railway station has been demolished a little bit by a lightning crater, but that's okay. You can get up a little more easily by these stairs along the side. And if you get up here, we've got some benches, we got a ticket booth, which I think is just really cute. The chest contains nothing, of course. Normally there would be a little bit more to the platform here, and then you can get onto the train as however you'd like for whatever cars happen to have generated here. I think it looks really, really cool. You've got lightning rods on the station as well as, of course, on the locomotive, just to help keep them from burning things down. So really cool structure for the lightning fields, helps break up the monotony a bit, and gives you a little more reason to stay in this biome as you explore. Like I said, not a ton in terms of loot, but of course you can tear the whole thing down and use the blocks it has, things like that. There is another structure that I want to show you. We will see if we're able to find it. It is fairly rare. We're going to go to the Glacial Wall. Tempest. Well, a glacial wall. We'll probably go to several glacial walls if we can't find it. Ooh. So let's see. So the Glacial Wall biome, one of my favorite biomes from the Tempest, to be honest. It looks like this one doesn't have it. I've implemented an early version of the Ice Castle, which is what I want to show you, but we may not be able to find one, unfortunately. So let's see if we're able to find another glacial wall. I'll actually try and locate a pillager outpost as well. Let's see, it looks like that is a different one. It might be a glacial wall. Ooh, oh, that's strange. It says this is a pillager outpost, but I don't see... Oh, here it is. So this is the Ice Castle. It has a couple different ways to generate, depending on the level that it generates at, and I'll kind of show you what I mean in a little bit here. But it's on this nice little overhang, which is in fact part of the structure. So this is, for this particular Ice Castle, this is our entrance. It is a pillager outpost like normal, so it'll have pillagers generating around it. I will look at that in a second. This is the main foyer. There's very little here right now. It will be a little more valuable for sure, because it's a very rare structure. I'm very grateful we're able to find it, because I think this is the first one I've actually been able to find naturally occurring in my testing so far. But there will be a few different kinds of rooms to fill these gaps here. Back here as well, there will be a few different variations. There might be some towers that kind of branch out from this upper section here. And then if we come down here, we have a ladder that takes us down a little ways and actually opens up to the ground out here. So this could also be an entrance for you depending on how you approach the castle. If we come over here, looks like part of the castle's actually been... I need to fix the replacing for the basalt pillars, because it doesn't, at least behind too much basalt, it didn't used to before 1.17, which is very annoying. But it looks like some of it just cover up the staircase that we've got here, which will have a couple of branches later, but so for the moment does not. You can see we've got some glass right here, which we'll look at more closely a little bit later. And it takes you down into the basement of the Ice Castle, which has this entrance that comes out into the deep slate wall that's right there, because of course we're now underground. And it has another room off over here. So let's go ahead and look at some other variations that this could generate in. And what do I mean by that? So this happened to generate fairly low. Normally, well, not normally, depending on, you know, how lucky you are. And oh, this is a huge glacial wall, my goodness. A glacier or ice castle might generate really up high, for example, right here. So let's actually give ourselves a structure block. And let's say the ice castle generates like right here. So if we do Nitdim, Tempest, Ice Castle, start. Do this. Minus 23 and minus 23 should center it right there. And I think if I am right here, I'll be okay. What do you mean? Oh, because I did that. we go. So now I'm inside. So say it generates right there. We've got the castle above, and then we've got the basement area below. So you might come across an ice castle that looks a little more like this, and towers above the rest of the glacial wall. And that's sort of more what's intended. Obviously, like I said, it can generate lower. You know, if it generates down low in the valley like that, it might even be hard to find. But this is how it could generate. And when that happens, then of course when you come down, oh, got some zombies here. When you come down into the basement, this can open up into the normal ground and sky. This one happens to be a little bit covered up. But depending on where it generates exactly, how high, how thick the pillar below is, it can be really, really cool looking. And that's kind of the idea. That's kind of the hope and the goal. If we come in here, let's actually get a potion of night vision here real quick. So if we look at it like that, we've got a really cool pillar right there that it's generated into. If we come around the back, you can see the glass from the staircase. You could look out or look in. You know, if it generated a little bit further back, then that might, all the glass from that staircase might look out over the rest of this glacial wall area. So it's a really, really cool looking structure, if you ask me. It spent a lot of time making it look really natural, very carved out of the ice. And it's going to be very valuable because, of course, it's very rare. Glacial walls themselves are rare. This happens to be a really massive glacial wall. They're usually much smaller than this. So it's just not a lot of spawning space for this structure. So it's going to be very valuable. It's not going to be necessarily as endgame as the weather station, but it's going to be worth, if you find it, it's going to be worth exploring. And it might even be worth going out and searching for, depending on what we decide to put here. So that is basically all I have to show you today. Like I said, I do apologize for the delay in new videos lately, new content, as well as the delay in new updates for New in Town and for Dimensions. I've been trying to keep, you know, especially the data pack development ongoing, but making videos has been becoming a little bit less. I've been having less time to do it, and I might have even less time to do it moving forward in the future. So I will talk more about that in a future video, but suffice to say, I've been very busy with work, with my day job, and I'm about to be starting a brand new opportunity, very exciting times in my life right now, so which I will talk about in a channel update video that'll be coming out here soon. So to keep an eye out for that. There will be more content. It'll just be, you know, I'm going to try to keep it more, hopefully, 1 to 3 times a month instead of once a week or even more often than that. So definitely continue to keep an eye on the channel. I am not gone. It'll just be less videos, but more interesting and, you know, larger scale videos, as well as, you know, dev diaries intermingled in between as they are necessary. So thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this episode and continue to support the channel. Please remember to leave a like if you've enjoyed this video and to subscribe to keep an eye on when new videos come out. Of course, you can also join the Discord community to get involved and continue to be involved with the New in Town community. I will continue and remain active in that server with all kinds of new information as I, you know, make new things and add new stuff. I will continue to update the data pack and things like that. So please do stick around and be a part of the community with me. I really appreciate all the support that we've had for all this time. Ooh, drink this. If you would be so kind as to support me on Patreon, that would help a lot as well. You know, the more patrons that I have, the more patrons that I get, it's just the more opportunity, more time that I would be able to put into New in Town and into content, video content in the future. So, like I said, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.